In the fast-paced world of business and technology, the lives of successful entrepreneurs often appear as remarkable tales of pursuing world-changing goals. However, behind the glossy headlines lie interesting stories of resilient mindsets and hard-earned milestones that pave the way for them to create legacies far larger than themselves. Good afternoon, Rich Takers. I am China Barachina. Follow me, and together, let's follow the money. Time to think rich. Be inspired by personal stories of success. Learn to invest without fear and greed. Ride the latest business trends. Dream big. Dare to be the Philippines' next billionaire. I'm China Barachina. Follow me. Let's follow the money. Only here on Billionaire Digital. Welcome back to our episode 2 of Follow the Money. For this segment is kung saan we will interview entrepreneurs and get to see their mindset in managing their business and how they've overcome their struggles. Through these challenges, they shine and grow their mindset big to what it is today. Actually, last episode we interviewed Ate Rica's Baxilog, who has now become a franchisor business of Ate Rica's Baxilog, having 160 franchises in the Philippines, all over the Philippines, and amounting to 500,000 kada franchise. I'm really excited about this. Good afternoon, Mr. Paulo Campos III.
Tina, good afternoon. Great to be with you.
Hello, how are you? I'm so excited to learn more about you and your business, Paulo. Welcome to Big Time.
Great to be here and great to be on Follow the Money.
Well, I'm so excited. But before we do that, let me give them a little background about our very special guest. Gano'n nga ba ka-big time si Mr. Paulo Campos III? Watch this. Higit sa 99% ng mga negosyo sa Pilipinas ay nabibilang sa MSMEs o Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises, according to PSA. Kasama rito ang napakaraming promising startup companies sa bansa na kung matututukan at mabibigyan ng oportunidad ay malaki ang potensyal para lumago. Our special guest also played a pivotal role in the success of Zalora Group, a shopping giant, where he served as a co-founder and managing director for 10 years. Nag-aral at nagtapos sa Princeton University School of Public and International Affairs at kumuha naman ng MBA o Master of Business Administration sa prestigious Harvard University. Legit big time talaga ang guest natin. Kilalanin ang founding managing general partner ng Kaya Founders and learn the story behind his success. This is Big Time on Follow the Money. Big as in business inspiring guest. Hi, Paulo. Are you surprised?
No, honestly, it's very flattering and humbling to also reflect on my career. But thank you for that very kind introduction.
You know what, Paulo, when we talk about your name, people will see you as someone who's very successful in terms of Zalora Group, the founding manager of Kaya Founders, and one of the board of directors of Shakey's Philippines. But in your earliest profession and work history dates, back in 2005, when you assumed the role of special assistant to the CEO of Ayala Land, can you share with us how were you before? What is your mindset before versus, what have you learned over the years towards work ethic and being professional?
You know, China, I think if I reflect on the trajectory I've been on in my career, essentially what's been quite important for me is my formative years, growing up in Manila, in the 80s and 90s. We take for granted how much the Philippines has changed since then in the past 30 years. But I recall growing up, there would really be a lot of poverty, much more poverty all around than you see now, and generally just more challenging landscapes for Filipinos generally. And that's what I recall when I think about my youth. So a lot of what I'm doing now is really I think my part of my mission to try to give back to the Philippines and to try to help our country. What we do now at Kaya Founders, what I've done at Zalora, and then also earlier in my career, as you're alluding to, with some of my first positions, very much the thought is around nation building and how we can help the Philippines. So as I reflect back to those early years, that's something that rang very true with the values of my first employer. I was very proud to be with Ayala Land coming out of Princeton or out of college, and the goal of the Ayala Group generally is really around nation building, and that's very much in line with my personal beliefs and personal values, and which is why it was really great to be there as a first step in my career.
That's very nice, Paulo. Looking at that, what you're saying, I think you have like sacrifices that you made in advance to advance your career. And how did you do it? Like, what are those sacrifices? How did it impact in your personal life?
I think, as you say, any career or business life of a business person comes with it ups and downs, and indeed trials and sacrifices along the way. I think in my case, I really felt that in order to round out my skill set and really help the Philippines in the way that I wanted to, that it would be best for me to come out of my comfort zone and challenge myself by going to college in the US at Princeton and taking my MBA out there as well at the Harvard Business School. Frankly, it would have been more fun and comfortable to stay home and to not pursue those particular career vectors that really shaped who I am today. But I think that's part of life well lived, is really stepping outside your comfort zone and allowing for room for personal growth and sharpening of your skill sets. You mentioned my job out of college with Ayala. After business school, I actually, before Zalora, in between business school and Zalora, I was actually with Boston Consulting Group, a management consulting firm living in Singapore, and kind of away from home. I like to think that I bring some of that with me in my current role, and of course in the decade that I spent as the CEO of Zalora Philippines. My first child and my first big career achievement is what we were able to do with Zalora over the years. And now looking to help other entrepreneurs with Kaya Founders and supporting the next generation of entrepreneurs.
Paulo, you've mentioned, diba, you studied in Princeton and you also studied in Harvard. Can you walk us through your decision in studying abroad? What made you decide to go abroad? I personally also I would love to do it the same, but it was so admirable of you to go back. So can you walk us through that decision making?
The first decision was that I got a scholarship. So I think
oh wow.
The issue is that it's very expensive, obviously, right? But thankfully, Princeton, in fact, the year before I entered, so this would have been in 2000, they changed their financial aid policy such that in order to really essentially enable almost a full ride or a full scholarship, if you're meriting it and from a certain background. So that really made the decision easier, because typically with the financial burden that it would put on yourself or your parents, that it's often too insurmountable. So the fact that I was able to get a scholarship to go to Princeton kind of made the decision that much easier. The second decision point was around my course of study. I actually, as the introduction explained, was in the Princeton School of Public and International Affairs, which is a public policy school. Again, I had it in mind to help the country, and really took all of my academic classes around development economics and how to help the country from a development point of view. My conclusion coming out of all of that was actually that the best way to help the Philippines would be to join the private sector and to help make the pie bigger and help drive the economy forward as part of the private sector. But that was very important for me as I thought about taking advantage of the fact that I was able to go to this very prestigious school on essentially a full ride.
Wow, I can imagine. Sana all may scholarship. It's so hard to get one, especially with that kind of university. And, diba? Like, it's so admirable, Paolo. But our pilot guest, Pao, Ate Rica, started with 20,000 pesos and grew her business with, by herself. So, with your background, Paolo, can you be considered self-made, having that,
Yeah,
that third
I
apelido?
mean, I'd like to think. Of course, I grew up I grew up very comfortably. So, but in the sense of my entrepreneurial journey and starting Zalora and now what we're doing at Kaya Founders, what I'm very proud of and one of my advocacies actually is that it used to be that entrepreneurship and being able to start a business is the purview of the wealthy, right? And that if you have the safety net of having a rich family, that often made it easier to do something entrepreneurial and the chances for those not from a very privileged background are more limited, right? So at Kaya Founders, we really back the next generation of entrepreneurs, and our goal is to level that playing field so that anyone can become an entrepreneur. And that's essentially what happened in my journey. Is that we had investors from the beginning of the journey. So rather than having to bootstrap something, it was a kind of fully funded venture out of the gate, as we do with Kaya, with the ventures that we back. Often it would just be an amazing founder looking to solve a problem in the Philippines that's an important one. And we would help make that bridge to entrepreneurship easier. So that similar to my journey, you don't have to be from a well-off background necessarily to become an entrepreneur. And that's where you have investors, you have venture capital as an asset class and as an industry is really there to back entrepreneurs with a good idea, with proven track record, right, and with some credibility in terms of their track record in business. That with just given a small push, right, and given a nudge into starting something as an entrepreneur, that they'd be able to overcome the fact they might not have been from very well off. So again, I'm very much proud to say that that one of our advocacies is really to level the playing field for entrepreneurship, as I experience in my own life.
I love it, like leveling the playing field of entrepreneurship. Because we Filipinos are very creative, and I agree with you on that. And we 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 can talk about Kaya Founders, and I just want to know what is the ultimate goal of Kaya Founders, and what inspired you to start that company?
Yeah, I think for me, the goal is to support the next generation of entrepreneurs in the Philippines. This is very much a thought of giving back. As I always tell tell the founders that we work with, I have a dozen years worth of mistakes from my Zalora days that I can share and share the common pitfalls and just practical advice from my over a decade in working in e-commerce in the Philippines. I came from a time when people thought I was crazy coming home from Singapore with my and leaving my very well-paying job behind to start an e-commerce company in the Philippines in late 2011. I mean, it's hard to think now, but it was really unheard of then. And what proceeded was just a very amazing and fulfilling journey for me in all senses. So essentially, that I think that's how we think about the opportunity and how with Kaya, our goal is to give back, right? Is to support the next generation of entrepreneurs. We also want to be a catalyst for the technology ecosystem in the Philippines. As I said, there are many problems to be solved. We can all agree that the Philippines, while we've progressed very substantially and our amazing demographic dividend, as we say, we're the youngest population in Southeast Asia, strong, steady economic growth over 2-3 decades now, has really put us at the brink, I think, and at the inflection point of us really becoming, breaking out onto the world stage as one of the important economies and venture ecosystems globally. And that's because of our talent, our Filipino talent, the diaspora that we have across the world. So our goal is to fly the Philippine flag, but the Philippines
Yes.
and to really represent and help to catalyze, and rather than sit and wait for it to happen, roll up our sleeves and dive in as we did uh, in our previous companies as entrepreneurs and founders ourselves, to help the next generation to move the country forward. maybe underpinning the philosophy of what Kaya does is this idea of and creative destruction, right? Joseph Schumpeter, the economist, talked about creative destruction, how an economy moving forward is really about, of course, incumbents and big companies being there. But if you look at the largest companies in the US or the Philippines, even, it changes every 10 years, right? And you have new companies that emerge, you have incumbents that lose their place. So, this creative destruction is part of how an economy and society moves forward. And as part of that is the creative bit, right? Is that there are always startups to be born, there are always ideas, problems to be solved, and there are always ambitious business people who want to take destiny into their own hands and to start a company themselves, right? I mean, and that's for me one of the most noble things you can do. Because of course, it's fraught with risk. Of course, it's very perilous and scary to do so. But if you're able to achieve it, the fulfillment that you get out of it, I have to say that there's nothing quite like it, making an impact on the world and a company that you've helped to bring forth, right? So,
sino kaya yung bata sa picture, Paulo? Can you tell us who that, that little boy is?
Campos the third. This is Paulo Campos the fourth.
Oh!
And his name is Quinn. So this is Quinn Campos. He's turning 2 in a month's time.
That's cute. And then you are like building your own legacy right now. And, I'm curious that the discipline that you had was taken from probably your great grandfather being you're the third. So what kind of discipline were you brought up with, and what do you want to pass on to your son as Paulo Campos the fourth?
Oh, great question. It's something I think about a lot as a young dad. To what you're alluding to, indeed, I think I'm very proud of my personal legacy, my family legacy. My grandfather was one of our national scientists, very accomplished. He passed away a few years ago, but he's one of our national scientists. He was nominated for a Nobel Prize in Medicine in 1962, and himself very successful businessman and entrepreneur. And the businesses he built are still helping people today. We started a university called Emilio Aguinaldo College and a hospital called now Manila Med. Those are very much service-oriented business and very reflective of his personal values. You also mentioned actually my great-grandfather, Placido Campos, who was fought side by side with Aguinaldo in the Revolutionary War, where ourselves from Cavite. So the typical Caviteño stereotype is true, and my very courageous grandfather was one of the very close generals of Aguinaldo in the Revolutionary War. So, I like to think that Caviteño spirit pervades how I do things in terms of other values and other important ones that were imparted to me that I'd like to impart to my son. Certainly, the value of education. I think, in particular, in the Philippines, in our Filipino context, important to finish school, right? Important to take education seriously. It can take you to places you'll never even dream of, and it is the great leveler ultimately. Is doing well in school. There's a stereotype of in the US of just dropping out of school, and that's the wrong thing, right? No one should drop out of school. You should finish school, and then you can start a company. You can start a company while you're in school. Education is so important in how it shapes your and for instance specifically prides itself in being a liberal arts education where you don't even necessarily learn a vocation or course right away, but teaches you how to think and how to think about the world, right? So I would say the key value is the importance of education, and that with it doing well in school means by definition you have to have some form of discipline. So I think that's something that I'd like to certainly leave to Quinn.
Can I just say, guys, when I was talking to Paulo the other day, just to get to know him, I was surprised that, I went to grade school to one of their founded schools. And when I was a kid, tinitingnan ko yung statue. Who is this Campus, the first? Nasaan kaya yung family nito? I was just looking at it, only to find out that, down the road, I'm gonna meet the one of the apos, the great grand apos of Dr. Campos.
Immaculate Conception Academy in Dasmariñas, Cavite.
Yes, that's Ika. Yeah. So, shout out sa mga Caviteños. Yan. And I think you have inspired me so much. I can see from your background, you have the discipline of a military, you have the mind of a doctor, an educator as well. And I'm so excited how your son is going to be formed in this kind of environment, and how are you going to impart more wisdom to our Filipino community. And with that kind of principle, what is your support system like, Paulo? Can you share us how your relationship with, do you have a mentor? How do you personally develop yourself?
No, it's a great question, China. And as you reflect on, of course, wanting to live a well-rounded life, I think first and foremost, family is the most important thing to me. We talked about my son and my wife. We celebrated our 7th anniversary recently, and my parents, of course, and my entire extended family, very important to me. And we come from a very close knit and tight family. So, like many Filipinos, I think the primary importance and paramount importance of family is certainly true for me as well. From a professional setting, I certainly have been very blessed with a number of mentors, colleagues who I really looked up to over the years.
It's really important. I am always reminded of King Arthur's inner circle, like the round table. I'm a believer of that. Like, in for you, for the kingdom to stand, everyone should be undivided. Like, and when you have to build an empire, everyone should have one vision and should be in one, and that's what I see in you. And
And I've
probably my yeah.
the mastermind. So somehow I think about this mastermind, like the group of people that really shape your thinking and also pull you up, right? I mean, part of human nature is working with people that really make you up your game and want to be better and want to be exceptional. Right? We should look to be excellent. Excellence and being exceptional, I think, is something you should draw out to people around you.
Yeah, I agree. So, for people often find inspiration in stories, successful individuals. These are things that came from humble beginnings, and from that point when you were just starting up to now, can you give us a specific principle that you live by over the years?
Yeah, I think it would really be the importance of building a great team. I would say there was no company that was built with just one person figuring it out on their own. Rather, every venture journey, every entrepreneurial journey that we back as Kaya founders now is a story of a team coming together, getting to know each other, finding ways of working with each other in a way that creates more than themselves. And I think that's the magic of business, is that our job as business people, as we say, is to make the pie bigger, is to expand and to create value and make 1 + 1 not equal 2, but rather equal 3, right? So, living life in a way that's positive sum, where you can really create value for others and not thinking of life as zero sum, where someone else has to lose for you to win. I think that's important. And doing so and reflecting on the fact that nothing happens in isolation, and business is by definition a social activity. I think the importance of being able to speak to, motivate, understand, listen to, and inspire colleagues to be with you on the journey. And I think that's an important lesson in business, in whatever you do.
That's really an insightful interview with Paulo right here. And if there's one last na lang to for the RQ&A, and then we will go to the next part of our show. Do you have any particular message to the younger generation? Kasi hindi na millennials, di ba? It's already Gen Z, and they have a different approach at life, and they get easily stressed. Sometimes they get easily stressed. What do you think, what you can impart to them in terms of appreciating hard work of those who become successful regardless of their background?
No, thank you, Gina. I think it's something as giving back and really supporting the next generation is so important for the Philippines. We have the benefit of the fact that the median age in our country is 24.7 years old. So the average Filipino is young and in the early part of their career. So it's important for all of us as business people to, I think, give back and speak to that next generation, which will ultimately define what happens to our country in the future. What I would say to young people generally is think about starting a business. It can sound, as Filipinos, we're often taught to take the safe route and take a corporate job. I think you still can do that, and something I did as well. But start a small business, start a sideline, start a side hustle, as they say. The power of the internet and why it's the most transformative innovation of our lifetime is that it really does level the playing field. It's really a democratizing force to be the fact that you can reach people online via social media without having to spend a lot or invest a lot in building out a store as you had to in the past or anything like that. So my advice would be that think about how you can make the pie bigger as a business person, which would means adding value to society, adding value to the economy, creating products people want, creating a service people need, or solving problems and that could be big or small. Of course, we're very proud of the fact that we think we've backed some of the companies solving some of the world and the Philippines and the world's big problems. But it could also be just a very small and important problem in your community, right? And that from whatever background you are from, that you can help solve a problem in your barangay or local community. That's the first step to self-empowerment and making something of yourself, right? And that's still while taking care of your family and making sure that you live a well-balanced life. But I would say if we can really foster the spirit of entrepreneurship in the Philippines, that'll really help pull the country forward.
If there's one word I would describe you, Paulo, you are an enabler. You enable people to move to their dreams, and you are one of. I'm now realizing why you are part of, why did it, I was allowed to interview you in Follow the Money. You certainly, gonna teach us on how to do it. Familiar ka ba sa Fast Talk? We will go to the
Yeah, ready.
Okay, let's do this. So there's no right or wrong answer. You will just think on top of mind. All right.
Sure.
So question number 1, favorite book about wealth management.
Great question. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Me too. Most inspiring movie.
Most inspiring movie, A Beautiful Mind. It was shot on the Princeton campus the year I started there. Russell Crowe. Great movie.
So did you see it being filmed there?
To be honest, I did. As I was moving in.
That's so nice.
Yeah. And then John Nash, who's the scientist in the movie, the mathematician in the movie, he was still walking around campus.
Oh, cool. Your motto in life. What's your motto in life?
Do right by others.
Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Certainly grew up a night owl until then now very much an early bird. Settled family.
A lot of CEOs are like that. Android or iPhone?
iPhone, certainly.
Princeton or Harvard?
Good question. Somehow there's nothing like your undergraduate degree. So I think in terms of the impact on my life, it's just slightly edgy. And it's my undergrad. It's my college.
So Princeton.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've told other people that.
The boat is sinking. What material possession will you save?
My family.
What if it's material? Like, for example, your family is safe.
Okay, that would be good. Then I'd be okay, to be honest. But I guess if I still had my iPhone, I could still be productive. So I guess I'll go with my mobile phone.
Diploma o diskarte sa buhay?
Diploma and diskarte sa buhay.
Nice. So complete the sentence. I know this is not the real sentence in the Bible verse, but how will you complete money is the root of all blank?
Not everything, first of all, and it's a means to an end, and not an
All
end in
right.
itself.
Okay. You've inspired us a lot today, Paolo, and I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you, Tina. No, this has been fun, and congrats on the very exciting Follow the Money book.
So bago tayo matapos, what are the three most important lessons that you can share to our audience? Ano yung top three manifest or asenso tips ng isang Paulo Campos para sa mga gusto ring magtagumpay sa buhay?
No, so I'll keep it very basic and very basic in terms of what you should do. Three things. First, again, think about starting a business, even a small one, even a sideline side hustle. Doesn't have to be a big one. Think about what you can sell to whom. Think about what you're good at and what service you can provide to others that they're willing to pay for. And I would challenge that every single person watching the show should have something that they can think of. They don't have excuses for themselves. Second is the importance of living below your means. Living below your means, exactly. So the mistake I've seen is people
And
who more income than their expenses keep up with their income. That's exactly the wrong way to do. So one of my mentors very early in my career told me that the more you can have your income not like go up, but your expenses and
the
then
curve.
yeah, and the expenses meaning the what keeps you happy in life, right, and what you need to be. So to not have way too much importance on material things, right? And as long as you have family and of course all of that, I think you can manage to, as even as you succeed in life, keep that gap. Right? So I think that would be the second piece of advice. And then third would be important to save and invest. It's very important to understand and have basic financial literacy. It's not an excuse that your parents didn't teach you how to manage money. Most of ours didn't, frankly, right? I mean, it's Filipinos generally just. I mean, we need to up our game in terms of financial literacy, and that's on us as individuals to learn it and to understand what it means to like your personal income statement and balance sheet as a household and as a family, and how to invest and create assets that will pay for themselves in the future and work for you while you sleep. There's no excuse. There's YouTube, there are books, there's your show, there are other places out there for you to learn. So it's no excuse that you don't know the basic financial literacy. So those would be my three essential tips.
Thank you, Paulo. We've learned so much from you today. And, it's been a pleasure. I hope this is not going to be the last time to talk to you.
Same here. Thanks so much, and take care, everyone.
All right, then that's it. We've learned a lot from Mr. Paulo Campos III. Now we'll roll to something that is also very exciting. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the future of finance and investing. In this segment, we talk about where we are and we're going in the Philippine stock market and other markets. Ron Acoba will join us today. Ron Acoba will join us today to tell us the hottest companies to invest in. Ron is a chartered market technician, a certified financial technician, and the coveted master of financial technical analysis. He graduated from the Ateneo Manila University with a Bachelor of Arts degree in economics and subsequently earned an MBA from the University of the Philippines. Currently, Ron is the Chief Investment Strategist and co-founder of Trading Edge, a third-party research provider catering to the banks and brokerage firms in the Philippines. Hi, Ron. Before that, let's remind our audience with this disclaimer. All right, so for us not to be too excited anymore about this, Ron, give us your fearless forecast.
Well, for the market, as you know, the past 2 years have been very difficult. But we've been in the bear market for a couple of years now and on a downtrend since 2018. While there remains to be a bit of difficulty in the short run, slowly but surely, I think we're coming to a positive pivot in the horizon. So the market is, as of now, only testing our patience, but sooner or later babalik din yung much awaited bull market na hinihintay natin. As for specific stocks, I am going to present to you guys one of the few names that I presently love at the moment. I guess we'll talk about that pretty soon.
We'll present your slide, Ron.
Yeah. So essentially, given the difficult environment that we've been having both abroad in the Philippines, a lot of specific question that I commonly hear is how do you pick winning names, especially during times like this when everything seems to be trending down. So my bread and butter in any environment would always be to choose the ones that are relatively stronger. What do I mean when I say stocks that are relatively stronger? Say for example, right now the market is doing bad for the past couple of years. I focus mainly on names that are performing, trending up in short. Why? It's essentially kumbaga you're essentially kumbaga following the money as what the show is, diba? So why are these specific names trending up despite the general market pulling down? It's because perhaps individually or on a company level they're doing pretty well. At one point, for example, early this year or even last year, the banking sector, specific banks like BDO and BPI have performed really well. We're up 20-30% in the year, while the market was essentially flat or even negative for. Why? Because banks last year were able to grow their lending operations, recover their fee-based operations as well. That's why their earnings were able to recover despite the fact that we have challenges like, for example, inflation, di ba? Yun yung naririnig natin na nowadays, mga pinag-uusapan na yung inflation natin where all-time highs, ganyan, or multi-decade highs, interest rates sobrang taas, mahal umutang, gasolina, mahal, di ba? Especially last year when the price of crude globally spiked nung nagsimula yung war between Ukraine and Russia. So despite those challenges, there remains to be gems here and there in the among the different listed companies. We just have to pinpoint kung saan pumapasok yung pera and follow it. So what that means is going for the stronger stocks. And as of this moment, one of the stronger names is Manila Electric Company. Presently, if I remember correctly, si PSEI is down about 6 or 7% since the start of the year. But Meralco, as what you can see in front of you, was just moving higher and is in fact a few points away from its all-time high. Imagine that. Malapit na siya sa all-time high, pero yung market natin nasa 6,000 pa rin. Hindi pa rin nga tayo nakakabalik doon
Ibig
sa
sabihin, Ron, the performance of Philippine market ay nahuhuli dito kay Meralco.
Nahuhuli, exactly. So exactly, it's only in this select names ang nagpe-perform well, and we want to be positioned in those names. Why? Because even if sabihin mong mataas na siya at current level, because as I've mentioned it's only a few points from its all-time high. If and when the market finally turns, sila pa rin ang mauuna. Yung mga malalakas na company na ito, like Meralco as of the moment, and previously the banking sector like BPI and BDOs and the likes, sila pa rin ang mauuna at magko-continue to perform well. And that's why...
Bakit, Ron? Bakit nauuna yung banks? Why is it yung banks performing end of the market?
Yeah. Banks already started their good performance last year, di ba? Banks kasi, the banking sector kasi is cyclical. They're cyclical in nature, di ba? Their businesses are mainly affected by level of interest rates. And that's why we see a lot of pullback in the banking sector in the past maybe a month or two, because interest rates have spiked. But previous to that, nung medyo stable yung interest rates or konti lang yung pagtaas, they were able to expand their loan portfolio. And syempre, if you are a customer of a bank, 'di ba? Mas may engganyo ka umutang either through using of your credit card or through umutang para sa expand yung business mo or para magpagawa ka ng bahay or bumili ng bahay or bumili ng bagong sasakyan kung yung interest rate mababa, 'di ba? Parang mas affordable for customers. And that is why if and when interest rates, sabihin na natin next year, start to taper down, then yung mga loan rates bababa, then obviously yung demand for loans from the consumer end would also increase because lower interest rates would make prices affordable to us.
All right. Okay. So, in terms of Meralco, Manila Electric Company, guys, is Meralco. So, ito yung kuryente. Ang maganda dito, kapag meron kang stock ng Meralco, instead of isipin mo, ay, ang taas na naman ang bill ko, it means na may kinikita yung company.
Yes,
dahil nagbabayad ka ng bill. Tama, Ron?
And may dividend, aside from the capital appreciation that we've been seeing in the past several months or since the start of the year, meron pang dividends na kasama yan, around 3%. So may bonus ka pa na dividends. So might as well, nagbabayad ka na, pagkakitaan mo na yung binabayaran mo.
So just to clear, guys, when you buy a stock, you earn in two ways. So you earn when the price of the stock is going up, nagigain siya versus sa binili mo. And then next is what is Ronnie saying, meron ka pang dividend, binibigyan ka pa ng extra. I believe nung mga bata pa kayo, or I don't know kung naabutan na ng Gen Z to, pero there was a time na may nare-receive sa bahay nyo ng mga cheque na galing sa PLDT and Meralco because of the dividend. So ngayon, yan yung dalawang ways to earn in the stock market. Ayan. So, Ron, anything to wrap up towards the end of the year? What we need to look after and for the next year, perhaps?
Well, ang major for us traders and fund managers, ang major concern and one of the reasons why if you notice the level of turnover in the PSE on a daily basis is only nasa 3 billion pesos a day. This is compared to around 6 to 8 or even 10 billion pre-pandemic. So sobrang baba yung interest, yung interesado mag-invest and mag-trade sa market because walang nangyayari. Ang major concern of investors ay ang level of inflation and level of interest rates. As of now, the interest rates in the Philippines for a one-year government bond is around 6%. So, ibig sabihin parang no-brainer, 'di ba? If you have cash, you can easily park your money by buying government bonds through your bank.
At kikita ka ng 6%.
Kikita ka na ng 6%. Previously, you cannot see that. Previously, bond yields were only what? 2-3%. So that's why a lot of money are flowing away from the stock market and just being parked in the fixed income or on the bond market because ang taas ng interest rates. Pero pag dumating yung time na bumaba ang interest rates and bababa lang yan, pag bumaba ang inflation, then that's the time na babalik na ang money, and that's why we will want to follow the money back to the stock market. And based on our study of the prevailing data, hopefully by next year mag-improve na yan.
All right, nakaka-excite, no? Kasi it's been a while since hindi gumagalaw ang Philippine market, and tinatawag natin yan, medyo tamad ang market. That's why there are a lot of alternatives that people are looking at to trade, since market has become boring for the past couple of months. Tama? So Ron, I would like to ask you, because sa trading industry, napakadaming memes. Even marami in general, marami ng memes, but in the stock market, hindi yan papawala. So I will show you a meme and tell me, does it relate to you? Is there a personal story that you can relate it to? And perhaps tell us, what do you think is the lesson behind this meme? So this is the meme.
Sure.
Well, I still don't understand how stock market works at this point. I'm afraid to ask.
Everyone has to start from somewhere, di ba? Even if I say that I am an expert to a degree at one area in finance, there are other areas that I need improvements. I say that everyone has to start with something. For example, me, even if I had an undergraduate degree of economics from college back then, having a degree in economics doesn't mean na may alam ako in investing, because those are totally different things. So I graduated with an economics background, but I started na walang alam in investing, in trading and portfolio management. So
okay.
So ibig sabihin, I needed to, ask. I needed to start from scratch anew, and at that time I didn't know where to go. So I just checked what I could see in the internet. That's why I joined a lot of free and paid seminars from being hosted by different brokerage firms, and both free and paid. And then I studied a lot on my own. I bought a lot of books, and I learned on the way just by doing that, by attending a lot of those, reading a lot of books, and on the job as well.
All right, Ron. So it means that don't be afraid to ask. Tama ba, Ron? Regardless of how long have you been in the market.
Yeah, exactly. And even now, I graduated 2005, which meant that I started my banking career 2005. So that was 18 years ago. But even at this point, as you can see, there are a lot of books in my background. I am in my home office. I constantly read, whether it's about finance, or whether about trading, or whether it's about financial statements, or whether it's about businesses in general. I constantly read because there are a lot of things to know pa rin, even at my level.
Experience.
And even then, meron ka pa rin matututunan and apply. Meron ka pa rin may apply. I'll give you an example. There was one basic book that I read by Peter Lynch. It's Beating the Market, and one of the theme that he said is that any individual can perform well, even better than professional managers, just by being aware of what's going around. Like, for example, he gave an example na yung wife niya mahilig mag-shopping, and syempre since mahilig mag-shopping yung wife niya, very aware siya on what's new and what's trending back then, di ba? So
I remember when I was starting teaching about stock market, I used that concept for girls.
Yeah.
Like if you're buying and you are shopping and there's a discount. Yeah.
And he was able to pick up good names, up and coming names, because of being exposed through the ideas na galing sa wife niya. And another thing na he was able to discover was a business related to memorial services. Yung parang he went in the outskirts of some state, tapos nakita niya parang there are several memorial homes na sumusulpot. And he came to a realization that parang okay na business yun because everyday people die, di ba?
It's a sad thought to think, but there's a reality on it. Yeah, there's a reality on
parang
it.
morbid, but if you look
Yeah.
through it in another point of
In
view,
realistic perspective, yes,
Yeah.
it is happening.
parang okay siya na business from a business perspective. And how does it apply in the Philippine setting? One of the best performing stocks in the last decade is, I don't know if you're familiar with this, is Golden
Golden
Haven.
Haven.
And
I
it's
knew
actually the stock that made Manny
The only
Villar-
stock that has something to do with that.
Yeah.
It's Golden
And it's
Haven,
actually
guys.
the stock that made Manny Villar the number one richest Filipino.
In the Philippines. Yeah, and that's a fun
the
fact,
Philippines.
guys.
So that's the connection. So me, I'm aware na these are the names that na experience niya, and I was able to know that because I read the book. Now when the Golden Havens IPO came, I was like, okay, it's more or less the same theme. I was able to put a little money there, and what do you know? From what? From 5 or 10 pesos, now it's what, 800, doing 800
Yes.
pesos.
Oh my God. I remember trading that stock when it was just Haven. What was the original name? Yeah, when it
Haven.
was Haven.
HVN back then.
Yeah, HVN. And I call it in my head, I call it Heaven
Yeah.
because of that. Thanks so much, Ron. I think it was a good insight for those who are starting. And, if there's one thing that I've picked up from what you're saying is that regardless of your experience, never stop learning.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. And we will see about your forecast in the coming months. And I hope we see you next time again. All right?
Surely. Same here.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Tina.
I'll see you soon. Thank you very much, Rich Takers, for tuning in to another episode of Follow the Money. If you liked our topic for today, please don't forget to promote us and share this page. And also, you can subscribe on our YouTube channels and follow us on Facebook. And if you know someone with that same success story, or if you yourself has a successful story that you want to share and be featured on Follow the Money, just message us on our Facebook page and here in the comment section below on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much. And I am China Barachina, and follow me, follow your dreams, and money will follow right after. God bless everyone.